Peace be upon you, and welcome to a new episode. On an ordinary day, a distant border security camera, more than 7 kilometers away from the scene, captures a very strange image in a remote desert area in Abu al-Qasib, near the Iraqi-Iranian border. A woman is standing there, giving her back to a man she completely trusts, as if she has known him for years. The man calmly walks to his car, takes something out, comes back, and within seconds, one single shot. The woman collapses instantly, and the man gets back into his car and drives away as if he had just finished a routine task. The body is left in the desert, and the plan was designed so that no one would ever discover it. Maybe it would decompose, or wild animals would get rid of it. But coincidence, or fate, made that camera change everything. Who is this woman? What brought her to such a remote place? And why did she trust the man with her to the point that she gave him her full sense of safety? This is a story filled with mystery, political influence, corruption, and a meticulously planned crime. And before we begin our story, don't forget to like and share the episode so it reaches as many people as possible. And wait for me every Saturday, Monday, and Wednesday for a new episode. Without diving into too many details, let's plunge straight into the depths of our story. This story began many years ago, probably around 2015, when Sarah Al-Aboudi was just a diligent student at the College of Physical Education at Basra University. Sarah came from a large and very respected family in Basra, known for their high morals and good reputation among people. Ever since high school, she had only one dream: to become a university professor in physical education, teaching students and helping build a new generation. She completed her university studies with great distinction. Her relationships with colleagues and professors were excellent, and she always excelled in her classes and research. During this period, there was a university professor at the same college named Dargham Abdul Salam Nama al-Tamimi, a married man with children, known to be difficult with most students, somewhat arrogant, and strict in his evaluations. However, his treatment of Sarah was completely different, very kind, helping her with any questions or research, as if he had a special interest in her success. At first, Sarah thought this was just academic admiration for a hard-working student and didn't realize there was a deeper personal interest behind it. Over time, probably around 2018 or 2019, Dargham decided to approach the matter directly. He told her he was very fond of her and asked her to marry him, but secretly, due to his personal situation as a married man with children, and also his political position, which did not allow for a public marriage. Sarah was shocked by this, especially since he was about 25 years older than her and her university professor, but she reacted very wisely. She calmly and politely refused, saying that she wasn't thinking about marriage at all at the moment and was fully focused on her academic and professional ambitions. Dargham outwardly accepted the refusal and continued to treat her well, but his admiration never went away. Sarah continued her studies and graduated around 2020. She traveled to Iran to earn an advanced degree to support her academic career and returned in 2021, when she was appointed an assistant professor at the same college at Basra University. The beginning of realizing her big dream. From 2021 to 2022, Dargham tried again to bring up the topic of marriage, but Sarah refused a second time, using the same wise approach, careful not to upset him or fear his reaction. Dargham wasn't just any professor. His sister was married to the current governor of Basra, Asad al-Aidani, making him the governor's brother-in-law with significant political and security influence, enough to make anyone think twice before refusing his request. This influence allowed him to harm any student or colleague without consequences, but with Sarah, he was always protective because of his affection for her. In 2022, Sarah married, but the marriage didn't last long. She divorced and now has a young daughter, 9 years old, living with her father and sister in Basra, while continuing her work and doctoral studies. Now we reach the most important part. In 2023 and early 2024, Sarah took responsibility for the college's archives and decided to completely reorganize all files and documents in a modern, scientific way to make things easier for everyone. While organizing, she came across highly sensitive documents proving major financial and administrative corruption within the college and the university as a whole, involving many figures, including Dargham Abdul Salam Neema al-Tamimi personally. This corruption included certificate forgery, embezzlement, and extortion of students, not new in the Iraqi education system. For example, in 2021, there was a huge scandal. Over 27,000 forged degrees from Lebanese universities were sold to Iraqi students, with senior officials involved, including parliament members paying $10,000 per certificate. Between 2009 and 2018, the Iraqi Ministry of Education uncovered 24,000 forged documents. In addition, there were cases of sexual extortion of female students, such as in May 2024, when the dean of the College of Computing at Basra University, Imad al-Shawi, was sentenced to 15 years in prison for sexually blackmailing students, filming them, and demanding higher grades. Just a few days later, the head of the computing department at Sumer University in Dhikar province was arrested for the same charge. This shows that Iraqi universities were a fertile ground for such corruption, with some people exploiting their positions for personal gain. When Sarah found those documents in mid-2023 or early 2024, she didn't really know what to do. She made copies of everything on her personal laptop and on her phone, and she told her sister and a few close people about what she had discovered. But they advised her to drop the whole thing and never bring it up again, because the risk was huge, especially since Dargham was involved, and he was the son-in-law of the governor of Basra, Asad al-Aidani. That meant that if she exposed any of this, she could face serious political or security problems. Sarah listened to their advice for a while, but deep inside she was determined to seek justice. She thought about sitting down with Dargham and telling him what she found, hoping he might help fix things, since he had admired her for years. But that was a big mistake, because she had no idea she was dealing with someone who could become truly dangerous the moment he felt threatened. Around the same time, in early 2024, a respectable young man formally proposed to her, and the news spread among her colleagues at the university. Through his connections and informants inside the university, Dargham quickly found out about the engagement, and he also learned that Sarah had copies of documents that incriminated him in financial and administrative corruption. This created a double threat for him. On one hand, a deep personal rejection. She refused him but accepted someone else. And on the other hand, the risk of exposing his corruption, which could destroy his academic and political career. Around March 2024, that's when Dargham began planning the crime, carefully and methodically, exactly the way you'd expect from a smart university professor with influence and resources. Let me walk you through this planning, because it's a crucial part of the story and shows how determined he was to commit a flawless crime. He planned everything from April until November 2024, following precise, well-organized steps. The first step was to lure Sarah to a completely remote and safe location, far from people and cameras. He chose the Abu al-Qasib Desert, an empty, isolated area near the Iraqi-Iranian border, a place he knew well from his security connections as the governor's son-in-law. He was certain there would be no witnesses, and the heat and desert animals would quickly get rid of any trace of a body. He studied the area more than once, maybe even visited it himself or sent people to check that no nearby cameras were present, and he assumed the faraway border security cameras wouldn't capture anything clearly. The second step was choosing the weapon and ammunition. Dargham had a legally licensed personal handgun. His political connections made that easy, but he didn't load it with regular bullets. He used a very specific, internationally banned type called explosive incendiary, a kind of ammunition that enters the body and detonates inside, guaranteeing instant death with a single shot, with no loud noise and no chance for the victim to scream or survive. He got these rounds through his contacts in the black market or unofficial security sources, and he may have tested them in an isolated area to ensure their effectiveness. This proves the murder was not impulsive. It was premeditated with full intention. The third step was planning to eliminate all digital evidence, like Sarah's laptop and phone, so he could erase every copy of the corruption documents. He intended to take them immediately after the murder, wipe them completely using specialized software handled by professionals, and then hide or destroy the laptop entirely. The fourth step was sending misleading messages from Sarah's phone after the crime to steer suspicion away from himself and make her family think she had run away or traveled to Baghdad. This would buy him more time. He planned to send these messages at a specific time, 1 or 2 hours after the murder, written in a way that sounded somewhat normal but still slightly unusual, so it would cause confusion without prompting an immediate search in that area. The fifth step was to leave the body in the desert as it was, expecting the sun, wind, and animals to take care of it before anyone could find it. Then he would simply return to the university or his home as if nothing happened. The sixth step was ensuring absolute secrecy. No one knew, not even those closest to him. He used his personal car, but without distinctive plates so it wouldn't draw attention, and he may have temporarily changed some features of the vehicle. All of this planning relied on his intelligence as a university professor, his influence as the governor's son-in-law, his knowledge of the area and security systems, and most tragically, Sarah's trust in him as an old colleague who had never harmed her before. Now we arrive at the day of the crime itself, Wednesday, November 27th, 2024, the day everything changed. At 7:30 a.m., Sarah left her home in Basra in her personal car, dropped her daughter off at school and her father at work, and headed toward Basra University as usual. Around 9:30 or 10 a.m., Dargham called her, saying he urgently needed to meet her about an important matter, possibly related to the corruption documents or personal assistance, part of the lure. Sarah, trusting him as a colleague she had known for years, agreed, parked her car in a safe spot, and got in his car. Dargham drove her toward Abu al-Kasib, and they had ordinary conversation along the way. He may have tried again to persuade her about marriage or discuss the documents, but when he saw she was firm in refusing him, they arrived at the remote location. At exactly 11:19 a.m., Dargham carried out the final step. He returned to his car, took out his gun, approached her while she had her back turned, and fired a single shot to the back of her head. Sarah died instantly at the scene. He then took her phone and laptop, erased all the data, got into his car, and left calmly, leaving the body in the desert. At 12:05 p.m., from Sarah's phone, 3 consecutive messages were sent to her sister. The first said someone was threatening her with death without naming anyone. The second said Dargham had lent her $500 to travel and protect herself. And the third claimed she had traveled to Baghdad and married a respectable young man working at the port who was financially well off, and that she would call when settled. These messages were designed to mislead the family and police, making them think she had run away and giving him time to cover his tracks. After sending them, the phone was permanently turned off and never opened again. The family began to worry greatly when Sarah did not return at her usual time. Her sister, who was in constant contact with her, called and found the phone switched off. They asked neighbors and university colleagues, who said she had indeed gone to the university but left early, and no one knew where she had gone or with whom. After hours of searching and asking, around 8 p.m., Sarah's brother received a strange call from the police, asking him to come to the station immediately. They said his sister had been in a traffic accident. He went with the family and there discovered the shocking truth. Sarah had not had an accident. She had been shot in the head. On the same day, November 27, 2024, border security forces in Abu al-Qasib reviewed routine surveillance cameras and found a video of somewhat poor quality, but clear enough to show a man arriving in his car with a woman. They spoke briefly. Then he returned to the car, pulled out a weapon, and shot her in the head. The woman fell, and the man left. Accounts of how the video was discovered differ slightly. One says someone drove by, saw stray dogs gathered around the body, and alerted the police, who then found the video. The other says a security post routinely reviewed the camera and discovered the scene. The police enhanced the footage, identified the woman as Sarah Al-Aboudi and the man as Dargam Abdulsalam Nima Al-Tamimi, and arrested him at his home in less than 12 hours after the crime. Here begins the longest and most important part, the investigations, which lasted many months under intense pressure from public opinion and the Iraqi and Arab media. The investigation started immediately on the same day, November 27, 2024, when the police arrested Dargam under the supervision of the National Security Agency and the judiciary in Basra, but with heavy pressure due to Dargam's influence as the brother-in-law of the Basra governor. The first thing the police did was interrogate Dargam, who confessed within the first 48 hours that he had committed the crime. He claimed the motive was purely personal, an emotional rejection. Sarah had repeatedly refused him and was going to marry another young man, so he sought revenge. The police did not stop there. They examined Sarah's phone, which they found with him, and discovered that all the data had been completely erased. This was strong evidence of an attempt to hide secrets, possibly the corruption documents she had. Her laptop, which contained copies of the documents, remains missing to this day, which led the investigation to consider that the motive was not purely personal, but also potentially to silence her regarding corruption. Investigators examined the bullet used and discovered that it was an internationally banned type, incendiary piercing, which enters the body and explodes inside, confirming premeditation and surveillance, not a spontaneous crime. This pushed the investigation to trace the source of the bullets, and they found that Dargam had obtained them through unofficial channels, possibly the black market, adding another charge. They interrogated colleagues at the university, who described his professional relationship with Sarah, her repeated refusals of his advances, and her discovery of the corruption documents, linking the crime to wider problems in universities. They also questioned Sarah's family, who described the strange messages sent to her sister and noted that the messages were not in her usual style. This confirmed that Dargam had sent them himself after the crime to mislead the investigation. Checking the timing, they found the messages were sent 1 hour after the murder, proving the premeditation. The investigations also revealed details of Dargam's influence, such as that his car carried election cards for Governor Asad al-Aidani, and that some properties registered in his name actually belonged to his sister, the governor's wife. This caused Sarah's family to fear political interference, so they requested the case be moved to Baghdad for greater fairness, though the judiciary initially rejected this. Public opinion was extremely agitated. Copies of the video leaked on social media, and many rumors spread, such as that Sarah and Dargam were secretly married, and she was pregnant with his child, and he killed her to hide the secret. Investigations completely denied this. Her reputation was clean, and autopsy results confirmed she was not pregnant. Another rumor claimed Dargam had a mental illness, but no one believed it, as he had been teaching and evaluating graduation projects the day before the crime. Investigators requested a psychological report and confirmed he was completely sane. The investigations rejected these rumors and focused on the solid evidence: the surveillance camera video, the confession, the misleading messages, the special bullet, the erased phone data, and the missing laptop. Over time, in the months from December 2024 to May 2025, the investigations connected the crime to broader problems in the Iraqi education system, such as the "We Are Behind You" campaign that began in March 2024 by the National Security Agency, which reached 184 classrooms and more than 8,000 female students, and arrested 506 people on charges of cyber and sexual extortion within universities. This led the investigations to question Dargam's links to other scandals, such as certificate forgery or extortion, though no direct evidence was found, but it added pressure on the judiciary. Sarah's family, being a prominent family, requested in January 2025 to transfer the case to Baghdad out of fear of interference, and her sister spoke in media interviews about the messages and corruption documents, which further intensified public pressure. The governor of Basra, Sarah Al-Aboudi, issued an official statement in November 2024, thanking security forces for the swift arrest and saying that the law is above everyone. But Sarah's family doubted his sincerity, especially since he did not attend the mourning and a university graduation celebration passed without any mention of Sarah. The trial officially began in April 2025, after months of investigations under intense media pressure. Sarah's family lawyers presented all the evidence, from the video to the messages and the bullet, demanding the death penalty. On June 22, 2025, the Basra Criminal Court sentenced Dargam Abdul Salam Nema al-Tamimi to death by hanging for premeditated murder, and the family considered it a victory for justice after months of pressure. However, rumors continued about attempts to reduce the sentence due to his influence, such as Dargam being held in a VIP location instead of a regular prison, and the family unable to access investigation details, while the perpetrator's family monitored everything. On September 16, 2025, the Supreme Judicial Council issued an official statement denying all rumors about sentence reduction or interference, stating that the case had not yet reached the Court of Cassation due to case prioritization based on filing dates, and that the sentence is still pending. To this day, no new updates have been officially announced about the appeal or execution of the death penalty. The case remains pending, and people in Iraq and the Arab world continue to follow it, especially with articles like the one in December 2024 on Al-Fanar Media, which linked the crime to broader Iraqi education scandals, such as the spread of weapons in universities, widespread corruption, and fear of further exposure. This is not an ordinary case. It reflects major societal problems, such as how influence tries to affect justice and how integrity, like Sarah's, can cost a life. This story, everyone, is a big lesson that appearances can be deceiving. Justice must take its course no matter how powerful someone is, and courage in confronting corruption deserves respect. May God have mercy on Sarah Al-Aboudi, give patience to her family and daughter, and ensure justice is fully served. And with that, today's episode ends. If this is your first time watching the channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to receive all new updates, and stay tuned for the next episode. Goodbye.